Hello, this is Joe Dupont from arlenspecterwatch. Um, Arlen Specter had given let's put it this way, it was hard to get anything from his office as to where he really stood on this mandatory health insurance bill. And I was hoping that he would vote against it, but apparently he is one of those who feels that the next generation should be slaves to the insurance companies, and that they will all have to buy health insurance, and not have the option of, I guess, what would you call it, supply and demand. This whole nation has been developed based upon supply and demand. And as you raise the rates of something, the cost of something, the demand decreases, and people look for other options. And they're trying to take away these other options when it comes to insurance. There's something inherently wrong with this concept. It is un-American, and worst of all, the man who has been ramming this down our throats is Mr. Obama, who doesn't want to turn up any information on his passport or his birth certificate. And but the main thing, he's the one who, when he was campaigning against Hillary Clinton, said that he was unlike Hillary Clinton, that he was against mandatory health insurance. This is what he said to the entire United States. And so by saying that, he was able to defeat Hillary Clinton, who became part of his cabinet. And we had John McCain, who said, don't worry about Obama, nothing terrible will happen. Well, something terrible is happening. Essentially, Mr. Obama wants to fine me and tax me, and if I don't pay the fines and taxes for being a human being and not making his buddies, the insurance companies, rich, he will ultimately put me in jail. He will come to my house and he will rip me out of my house, kicking and screaming. And I guess if I put up a real fight not to go, he will kill me. This is called health care at gunpoint. It's called Obamacare, health care at gunpoint. And no one wants to really address this issue. We have the religious right, the pro-lifers, and God bless them. They are upset with using federal funds to suck babies out of wombs and killing them. I can understand that, but what they don't understand, that the babies born after this new law will be slaves, no different than the slaves of the era of the Civil War. They will be born into a society where they must work to pay for health services that they may or may not use. We have a country where we're number 40th in terms of longevity. So there's like 39 or 40 other countries that people live longer, and the countries that they live in spend less money per capita, sometimes less than half of what we spend, and they're living longer. They might live 2, 3, 4 years longer. Even in Canada, where they say that people are fleeing to the United States for treatment, well, they live longer up in Canada. Now, whatever they're doing up there, whatever's in their food chain, we have to really address why we don't live any longer than we do. In many cases, our quality of life is miserable. We have these people on IVs, all medicated, walking around in Zoom land. We have Alzheimer's patients, and yeah, they might live another couple of years, but that's not living. So you take all of the whatever length we have, and you deduct, I don't know how many years from it. That's the real lifespan, because in these vegetative states that they have people living in, that's not life. Now, what I object to is they want me to buy a health insurance to pay for treatments that I would not take. I would not take chemotherapy. I would not take an organ transplant. I've been fortunate. I'm 61 years old. I'd like to live till 100 years old. But if fate happens that I come down with something that I'm going to die, I'm going to try to take the most natural approach possible. I'm going to try to do what I like doing. I like gardening. I like being politically active. And eventually, there is a time for everything. Eventually, I will die, like everyone else. I think for a young child to come down with some disease and die before they've had a chance to live life, to love, to be loved, it's a shame. But then again, it's a shame when we send a man to war and they die before their dreams are fulfilled. What's really sad is when they die defending a country that is losing its constitution. I just recently went to a constitution seminar, and it became obvious to me, and I've known we really haven't had a constitution except for certain rights involving sleeping with another guy or whatever. But as far as real rights, the right to build a home, to build shelter without interference from the government, without every type of permit, we've lost that. The most basic right to have shelter, and in a sense, the most basic rights not to be injected with all kinds of pharmaceuticals and vaccines, some of which we know there's some downsides to it. And we are basically letting these international treaties, UN treaties, world government treaties, run our lives and take away the sovereignty of this United States government. There's something really inherently wrong with what's going on. Once again, the most basic thing is for the government to force you to buy something, to buy a product. Insurance is a product. There's all kinds of products. There's investment products, there's insurance products, and they want you to buy this product. It doesn't matter if you have the resources to take care of yourself. They just assume that you're going to be like all the illegal aliens running to the emergency room. And some people, through misfortune or whatever, are going to go to the emergency rooms. And as a society, we have an obligation to take care of people and give them some sort of dignity. I don't think we have the obligation to give them heart transplants and things like that, compliments. Of course, they would do that to people on death row. They will give them sex changes on death row and things like that because they want to find themselves or something. But we are really, as a country, we're decadent. We're falling apart. We're totally broke. We're borrowing money from the Chinese to give to other countries. We're considering China a developing country and they're loaning us money. What is wrong with this picture? I mean, am I missing something? We are borrowing money from a developing country because our politicians are bleeding us dry. And it has nothing to do with Republican or Democrat. They are both working for the same people. We're talking the Federal Reserve. We're talking about interests that are running the show, and they allow us the privilege of throwing the Democrats out every couple of years or the Republicans out every couple of years. Some of the only true people, I have a feeling that Barry Goldwater was a good man. I have a feeling, I think Ron Paul's a good man. There's a few of them, but very few of them. I'm surprised Ron Paul hasn't been killed. Really, he's on to this Federal Reserve, and we really have to not tolerate the Congressman CARNEY, who only votes against his party when he knows that he's going to be unsuccessful. And these people then kind of try to give the impression that they're one of the guys, that they're one of us. But they're not. They're not. They're all part of it. So I want you all to really take a look at really what's happening. I'm 61. And it's taken me this long to really kind of figure it out. I haven't figured it all out, but I do know that we're being used, and the rate of change of taking over this country is accelerating. And I think it's accelerating because the internet has allowed us to really find out what the hell is going on. They don't want us to know what's going on. And we really must vote these people out and not get caught up in this politics thing, because essentially most of them are a bunch of bums. Take care.